Hi guys, Raindle here. For the first time since I began playing War of the Visions, there is something I truly dislike about the game in its current state. It is teams with Black Witch Helena, Yuna, and King Mont. Every single time we've had a major shift in the meta in the past, there was really strong units, but there were always ways to counter these teams and beat them reliably. For the first time, I feel like we're seeing a combo that uses the three units that are the strongest at what they do by a very large margin, and together they are almost unbeatable. The only way I can think of reliably beating these teams is with using a better combination of the same units, which doesn't make any sense. I have an issue with that, honestly, and it's making the game much more boring for me. I did build a team that can beat Black Witch Helena reliably. The team that I'm going to show you today is very powerful, and it can fight Black Witch Helena in almost any setup if she's paired with one Yuna and another third member, or with one King Mont and another third member, we're fine. But if it's King Mont, Yuna, and Black Witch Helena together, we only have about a 50% win rate, which is not great. So I'm kind of wondering what to do here. I love the game a lot, but I don't like the fact that right now there is a team that's almost unbeatable. So if you guys have strategies that can beat this combination of three units without using them, please let me know. I'd be glad to hear about it. So anyways, that was my little bit of a rant, but what we'll do today is just like usual. We'll go in game, I'll show you my loadout, abilities on, off, and whatnot, and then we'll see some fights, and you can see how the team that I've put together performs against them. I will show you fights against Black Witch Helena teams that don't have Yuna and King Mont, and then some fight against the Yuna King Mont teams to show you how those go. So here's our setup. We have 9S. Very powerful, 6k HP. He's super tanky from physical, pretty okay against magic, especially if he uses his buff. Resistances, he's weak to magic, so that does not help. But he's there to cover the physical side of the enemy teams and provide really good buffs for us. Then To Be is there as the main damage dealer. She has really high attack and can reach 90% defense penetration, so she can take out King Mont in 2 hits. And then, since she has a really high spirit, she actually survives pretty well against magical attacks. Finally, Frederica, not the highest amount of attack, but she's a really good carry in terms of the damage she does. So she's just going to rain barrages from afar and potentially break enemy barriers if there are any. So that's the setup. In terms of abilities on off for everybody, I've turned off aimed fire from Frederica because it prevents her from using bells. Everything else is on, and I've also turned off charge and supercharge from her ranger sub-job. For To Be, in this specific setup, I have turned off resistance field because I want her to gain the defense penetration and just hit hard. I've also turned off armor deployment. Then in her pugilist sub-job, everything is on. Finally, for 9S, he has all his abilities on in both his main and his sub-job, so there was no need to change anything there. So, I tried building a team that could survive against Black Witch Helena. It just won't happen. She has enough magic resistance penetration, enough ways to prevent you from surviving that you can't. Like, she will break barrier, she will break spirit, she will break through magic resistance. Until Charlotte comes out, I don't think there will be a way to actually just survive her attacks for a while. And so, there's only one way remaining to defeat her, and that's killing her quickly. If we build a team that, when it comes into contact with Black Witch Helena, can survive one hit and then kill her before she gets another turn, that's probably the only team I can imagine that has a shot at winning. And so that's what we're trying to design here. Our team has enough spirit, enough HP to survive the first attack, hopefully, and if that's not the case, well, we're just going to die and lose. And then we are fighting the super meta setup, King Mont, Black Witch, Yuna. That's what basically everybody plays in Arena. And to be honest, as I'm playing more War of the Visions lately, I'm getting a little bit bored of the game. It's all the same thing. I feel like since they released units that are so far better than what was previously available, there are very little ways to play a variety of characters, and I was hoping that as EX units become more readily available, this would be less of an issue because there would be more and more viable units. but my experience so far is actually the opposite, because yes, new units are being released, but these units are all stronger than the previous one, and so they're not... they're just going to keep being dominant, and older units will not have that many occasions to shine against them. So it's a little bit unfortunate. But as you can tell, our current setup deals a ton of damage. That is what it's built for, and so because of that, the enemy team does not have the time to use their OP abilities all that much. Okay, so that's the next team of the setup. I think we've seen it enough times. Let's just kick the game and see how it goes. Yeah, it's interesting. So far, my team has been performing better than I thought. I've tried, obviously, a lot of different setups. Surviving against Black Witch Helena is almost impossible, but with a team that can kill her quickly, it seems like we're doing fine. So they're going to be using a bunch of buffs like usual. Then Frederica as well. This time she uses bells first, which is, I think, the best start we can get. Because with this position, 9S also doesn't need to move before using shield deployment, and so he ends up in front. Yeah, that is the best setup. Now, re-raise on King Mont, so he's the guy we're gonna have to kill several times. I think that's the best setup. I would rather have re-raise on King Mont than have it on Black Witch Helena, because he comes back with a ton of AP, especially if he uses bells. Now Darkra on 9S deals a little bit of damage, and then Nimble Movement is cast, so she'll be able to drop a heavy attack on us afterwards. We begin hitting them, but that's barely any damage. And now the Black Witch will probably AoE our guys. That is not a good thing for us. Tenebral Rose, how much damage am I expecting? I want to say 5,000, because we don't have 9S's buff. Oh, only 3,800, wow. That was weaker than I expected, but it's still enough for King Mont to kill us, I think. Yes, it is. So this match, we will lose, because our characters with enough defense penetration to do their job are down, and then the healing is going to come in before Frederica's turn. If Frederica could weave in a turn in between, she could have used Barrage and finished off Black Witch Helena before she played. That might have changed things around, but the way things happen, we will now have no way of winning this. She is going to kill 9S, and then we will slowly lose. Frederica will probably use another barrage, but it won't be enough, especially with the small practice that came in right there. That is a pretty terrible scenario. But look at all that damage from Fred. It's actually pretty impressive. I think she did a couple, 4,000 on King Mont, so good job from her. Alright, let's fight a bunch of teams that have other characters than King Mont and Yuna, just because it's getting a little bit boring. And so, if it's a different team, what are our odds of winning? Honestly, I am immediately much more confident in our team's ability to win. Our team is in fact very powerful. It's just the combination of King Mont, Yuna, and Black Witch Helena is very, very dominant. And eventually, of course, the game will keep releasing stronger units, and these will become a little bit more obsolete. So that is bound to happen eventually, just because of the way gacha games progress. But right now, yeah, they are the best. There is no strategy about beating them. It's just have the same setup and cross your fingers for RNG, I guess. So Darkra comes in, a little bit of damage to be uses Revitalize, so she's going to have a ton of AP, and she's going to move in for the haste. So this player, props to him, he has set up his early turns very well in order to get haste on everybody, and that's really good. It might actually give them the win, but let's see. Barrage comes in, a little bit of damage, not that much, and then we group, which might cause us to lose very quickly, because now we're going to take some damage. Nope, Perfect Evade comes in, which is good because that might have been a kill. I know the damage that Tidus does is very impressive. Black Witch begins casting. Not great for them because that just might make it so that she dies before her spell resolves. But our 9S is not the most damaging character in the world, so maybe not. We'll see. He uses Armor Piercer. Oh, does take her out, so had she not used a delayed spell, they would have been in a little bit of trouble. But now we're able to kill Tidus. Tobi is the only remaining member of their team, and even though she has bells, she can only kill one at a time, so we're going to get her eventually. Probably one-shot her with Impaler. There we go. So 2B's out, and our team has won. Alright, so an enemy team with Black Witch, Rain, Louelle. Again, just gonna go in. I won't change anything. Our setup is really good. I'm not scared of the enemy teams unless it's the 100 cost combo. And you might argue that Yuna is not a cost 100 unit, but she definitely has the power of a cost 100 unit. So she's in that club, even if the game doesn't think so. So yeah, against them, what's gonna happen? Revitalize means Rain can cast as many times as he wants, and then they're using Resist Magic, which is not an issue for us. Their team is definitely built more to fight magic users, so we have a little bit of an edge there. We're gonna have some defense penetration, which might not come in handy against them all that much. And then 9S will be in front. 9S will die pretty quickly against them. He's better against physical attacks than anything else, so the enemy team will be able to hit him very, very hard. I'm expecting him to go down in 2 hits, while 2B will go down in possibly 3 hits. So the first barrage, pretty decent damage on them, but Louelle is really good against Frederica. If you haven't tried that setup, Louelle can tank a lot of attacks because she has both an okay defense and a pretty solid lightning resistance. So now, another arrow to the face, she's still pretty healthy, and her Law of Geo-Absorption is going to hit both our guys. So that is going to hit 9S for very, very hard. Oh, Devitalizing Glint. Yep, one-shots 9S, deals some okay damage to 2B, but not enough to kill her. So she comes in with a Whirling Vortex that kills Louelle and confuses. I guess RNG is on our side here, but it would not change anything, because the Sharpshoot then kills Black Witch Helena. So, yep, we won this. So let's keep it up. Another top tier, Yuna, Black Witch, King Mont team, powerful vision cards, the whole kit again, and they have revives and whatnot. So let's go against them. I'm also using limited units, so that might not be the best way to show things, but right now, with the account that I have, I don't really have any other top tier attackers that can survive well. Like, I have built units that are glass cannons, because that's something I like, but I will not bring a Xiza or an Oldoa to fight the enemy Black Witch Helena effectively. So, a little bit of a drawback there, but my account just cannot do that properly. So they have re-raise on the Black Witch, she's ready to come back, and then with the damage we have, we are going to hit them very, very hard on the next turn, especially our 2B that's currently using the Oldo's TMR, so she can deal crazy damage. But we have bad luck on our side this time, and the enemy lands a disable immediately. Had that not happened, it would have been very different, but now we're kind of just wasting our time in front of King Mont. We do stun him back, but we lose 2B in exchange, so not a great scenario. And see, only 2,000 damage from Black Witch Helena, so that is a proof that we would have been able to survive that fairly well otherwise, but as it stands, that's a pretty bad scenario. And then he lands another disable immediately afterwards. So, okay, we're going to lose this match, but we're going to lose this match mainly due to bad RNG. That should not be the case. So normally, Yuna gets a turn, sure, but then we would have used another barrage here and finished off a couple of their members, especially since 2B would have had one more chance to hit them. So yeah, I guess fighting King Mont, you have an aspect of RNG that cannot really be avoided. So that was it. I don't want to focus on the negative. War of the Visions is still a super interesting game where there's so many variables, and I'm really, really thrilled about what's coming in the future. I just won't be going hard into Arena for a couple weeks until this meta fades out a little bit. So hopefully you found it interesting, learned a thing or two. If you did enjoy it, please like and subscribe. And then as always, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.